Nick Kyrgios is one of the most controversial tennis stars right now, and most recently he entered into some more controversy during the latest US Open. His behavior was not correct and was handed a fine due to it. So stay tuned to today's video as we discuss how the US Open poured cold water onto Kyrgios, how he was fined once again, and some of his most controversial moments from his career so far. First up, Kyrgios has been fined once again. It looks like Nick Kyrgios has been fined once again at the US Open as they had a big issue with his behavior during his victory over Daniil Medvedev on Monday. He put on a masterclass performance to defeat the reigning champion at New York. This was a victory described by many as his best ever win from throughout his long career. However, all of the celebrations were quickly extinguished due to his obscenity during the match. When the match was over, it was announced that Nick Kyrgios would be fined around $4,000 for an audible obscenity. This is actually the third time he has been fined by the US Open, as he was hit with the biggest fine of tournament history at $7,500. This was given to him for audible obscenities and spitting during a second-round victory at Flushing Meadows. He was also fined $4,000 in the past for abuse during a doubles match with Thanasi Kokkinakis. With his latest fine, this means he has had to have paid around $15,500, or around 23,000 Australian dollars. The fine that came most recently happened because the microphones picked him up swearing at his player's box. He was verbally attacking his entourage as well as his girlfriend, Costeen Hatzi, in some bizarre antics from the player. This is routinely done by him to pump himself up within a match, but was clearly picked up as him being abusive to those around him. This made things very awkward for his team at New York, as he had just produced some of his best performances yet, whilst losing his cool early on in the match. These are some of the things he said. "Tell me where to effing serve," he raged. "Effing 3 times. Say something. Effing hell." The outburst had American tennis commentators apologizing to viewers. "This place is so well mic'd that you're going to hear a lot of cursing tonight," one TV commentator said. "Sorry about that." Early on during the tournament, he was seen in a rant where he complained to the chair umpire that he could smell marijuana smoke from the crowd. He yelled about it a lot, so let's go over what he said. "It was effing marijuana," he yelled. "It was smoke. Obviously, I'm not going to complain about food. Obviously, when athletes are running side to side and they have asthma, it's probably not ideal." Minutes before his argument with the chair umpire, Kyrgios had again barked at his player's box. "Go home if you're not going to effing support me, bro," he shouted. However, after his win during that match, he shot into favoritism as people forgot about his outrage during the early portions of it. He is now playing a match for a spot in the semifinals against Karen Khachanov. His schedule seems to have his second match during a late-night session at the Arthur Ashe Stadium on Wednesday morning. Hopefully his career doesn't carry on like this, as he shouldn't be having these outcries during some of his best performances of his career so far. Please let us know down in the comments section below your thoughts on all of this, and also tell us if you think the fine was enough or too much. And now on to some of Nick Kyrgios' most controversial moments from throughout his career that include fines. We're going to go over the timeline of events from throughout his career thus far, starting with 2015. The first and most memorable controversy surrounding Nick Kyrgios was back in 2015 during the Australian Open of that year. This was during his first round match, and he was 19 years old at the time. He ended up being fined $4,926 for racket abuse, as well as audible obscenities to his opponent. This was the first tournament where Nick Kyrgios became synonymous with the idea of a bad boy in the tennis world. During the first round, he was heard saying the term "dirty scum" whilst playing against Diego Schwartzman. Nothing came of this situation, as he said the comment was directed at himself and not his opponent to cover his back. However, during the next round, the chair umpire reportedly heard him using multiple expletives while playing. This also led to Nick Kyrgios' famous quotes to the umpire. He said this to him: "Does it feel good to be up there in that chair? Does it feel strong to be up in the chair?" He went on to keep winning at Wimbledon during 2015 despite all the controversies. During his third round match, he ended up getting a code of conduct warning as he slammed his racket so hard that it flew into the stands and nearly hit someone in the crowd. He also later was arguing with a female spectator who yelled something at the player, then began laughing at him. His finish in 2015 during Wimbledon was really what put him in the spotlight of controversy. During his fourth round match against Richard Gasquet, he was accused of tanking. This means that he didn't seem to try returning a few of the serves, and the Australian ended up getting booed off of the court after he left. During the post-match press conference, he dismissed any of these accusations, saying that he was not intentionally playing below his ability to end the match quicker. 26 2017. Skipping a few years ahead, after multiple other controversies in 2016, he ended up getting another fine in the Shanghai Masters of 2017. He did get a fine during the same tournament in 2016, but this followed on into the next year, where he had a similar issue. He ended up retiring halfway through his first round versus Steve Johnson, as he received a point penalty during the tiebreak from the chair umpire. This led him to tell the umpire that he would quit the match if he lost the tiebreak, which he ended up losing, of course. He kept his word and quit the match, and was fined $10,000 for some unsportsmanlike conduct, and his $21,000 prize money was taken away from him. 2019. At the 2019 Italian Open, Kyrgios completely lost his cool on the court during his second round match versus Casper Ruud. He was disqualified from the match after a string of events, starting with him cussing out a fan in the third set, which gave him a point penalty. Following the penalty, Kyrgios went on to kick a bottle, throw his racket, throw a chair on the court, and then pick up his bag and leave. After his actions on court, the Australian was fined 20,000 euros for unsportsmanlike conduct and lost his prize money. He also forfeited his 45 ranking points he earned from the tournament. Finally, 2022. We are now coming up to the current year of 2022, where Kyrgios has become synonymous with being a bad boy and having multiple fines each year. His first one of the year came in March, when he received a $35,000 fine based on 4 different offenses. $5,000 of the fine came from audible obscenities. Another $5,000 came from some unsportsmanship-like conduct, and the final $20,000 came from verbal abuse. There was also another $5,000 thrown in to tie everything together. He then made headlines during Wimbledon of this year as he wasn't playing well. Alongside this, more controversies came out during his first round match as he spat towards a fan and claimed that the fan was hailing verbal abuse at him. Nothing was confirmed from the fans in the stadium, so it just looked like Kyrgios was attacking another fan as usual. During his third round match against Stefanos Tsitsipas, both stars had some very crazy behavior between them. At one point during this 4-match set, Tsitsipas ended up throwing a ball towards the stands out of frustration, and the ball nearly even hit a female spectator. He was not hindered by the incident, but Kyrgios didn't hold back his opinion on the controversy. He felt like his opponent should have got a point penalty for the action, but nothing happened at first. Later on, their on-court antics led both players to be fined after the match. Kyrgios was fined $4,000 for an audible obscenity, whilst his opponent earned a much larger fine of $10,000 for his unsportsmanlike conduct against that woman in the stand. These aren't the only problems that he is currently dealing with, as during the July 10th Wimbledon final between Kyrgios and Djokovic, he became bothered by a fan in the crowd who seemed to be drunk out of her mind, as he claimed. The statements from both the fan and the tennis star himself were heard by millions of fans around the world on the stream. The fan ended up suing him for defamation, and he is currently dealing with the legal ramifications of that. And that's the end of today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed this latest video. If you did, would you please let us know down in the comments section below. It would be very helpful. Make sure to like the video, comment down below, and of course subscribe to the channel with the notification bell rung. Thank you for watching today's video. Bye!